Today on Week in Review, the BCGEU strike finally came to an end, the Terrace Rotary Club recently made some donations, and we have an update on the Coachman Apartments situation. Hello, I'm Cael Maslin, and thanks for joining us here on Week in Review, where we cover all of the news here in the Northwest from this past week. This weekend, we'll see eligible voters make their decision on if the Kitsum-Kalem Treaty and Self-Government Constitution will be ratified. The treaty was signed by the Government of Canada, the Kitsum-Kalem First Nation, and BC government last year, and after being technically and legally reviewed for a year, the current ratification version of the treaty was finalized. If the treaty was ratified, it would ensure Kitsum-Kalem's Aboriginal rights are recognized, lay out self-governance approaches for the nation, address existing interests on proposed treaty lands, and much more. Voters can cast their choice online, at an in-person poll, and by telephone. After nearly 8 weeks on the picket line, members of the BC General Employees Union have reached a tentative agreement with the provincial government. The proposed deal includes a general wage increase of 3% per year over 4 years, along with targeted pay adjustments for the lowest paid workers. Union President Paul Finch says the agreement is a step towards fairness, ensuring experienced public service workers can afford to stay in their jobs and continue delivering vital services across the province. Finance Minister Brenda Bailey says she's pleased with the development, but will wait for the ratification process to conclude before commenting further. Meanwhile, the Professional Employees Association, which represents about 1,900 members, also takes down picket lines as the union prepares to resume negotiations with the BC government. Last Thursday, it was ruled by BC Supreme Court Justice Mark Underhill that a Chinese state-owned corporation's BC subsidiary had to give the city of Terrace an over $6 million deposit back. Taisheng International Investment Services, Inc., who acts as a subsidiary of China's QETDZ State-Owned Assets Management Limited, had promised that they would build a major industrial park on an almost 1,200-acre piece of land located in the Skinner Industrial Development Park. The company bought that land back in 2014, but when they didn't meet their construction milestones, Terrace rebought the land in 2023. Taisheng then tried to regain their construction deposit, but their application was dismissed. The city now seeks someone else's help to develop those industrial lands. With the Halloween season at its conclusion and the Christmas season being not that far away, the Terrace Rotary Club is already getting into the giving spirit. The club has made 3 major donations recently as they gave $1,500 to the Dare to Dream Foundation so that music programs in Terrace schools are supported, as well as $3,000 to the Terrace Church's food bank and $2,500 to the Terrace Salvation Army. Those funds mainly came from their annual Wild Duck Race in August, and they have another fundraiser coming up this weekend in the Terrace Rotary online auction at the Terrace Sportsplex. Coming up next, a community dinner is being organized in the heart of Terrace. Welcome back. The Northwest Regional Terrace Kitimat Airport recently released their updated passenger numbers, where they now cover the month of September. The total number of passengers to make their way through the airport at some point during the previous month was 24,853. That number was a bit of a dip from August's number of 25,400 and an uncommon decrease in what's generally been a year of ever-increasing monthly passenger numbers for the airport, although the September number is still the second highest monthly total that the airport has seen all year to this point. We now shift over to an update on what's set to happen with the Coachman Apartments building in Terrace.
Earlier this week, a proposal was made at the latest City of Terrace Council Committee of the Whole meeting about the Coachman Apartments building located at 4204 Spark Street. The proposal saw Council get asked to approve an application that would allow for renovations and repairs to be made to the property. The building has been in poor shape for several years after freezing cold temperatures caused the building's pipes to burst in late 2022, and the consensus from Council on the proposal was that they were very in favor of it.
Just thrilled that this building is getting developed and going back into the rental market. It's been a challenge for a number of years, and it's been empty, and the city has had to spend quite a few resources on bylaw to keep the building safe, and I'm really pleased that the proponents are moving forward and renovating and putting the building back into circulation.
It's really great to see people willing to put investment into a building that I think a lot of people had assumed was a write-off. So it's really great. And I know that it was a major struggle when that building finally got to the point where it was no longer habitable. And so it is great to see people stepping up and taking care of it.
While he wasn't able to attend in person, Terrace Mayor Sean Buitosh was able to make a comment of his own via a video call, since this property saga has been ongoing since he entered his current position.
This piece of property has been in disrepair for a long time. I think at the beginning of my term, I was helping residents break into this building so we could get into where the flooding was happening. And I just wanted to congratulate and thank Mr. Walters and Mr. Downey for taking this project on. We just had a presentation earlier talking about nursing and attracting nursing and not having enough housing in our community. So this is 48 units of housing that we are looking forward to coming back on. So big kudos to you, Foot 2, and thank you for taking this project on.
The proposal was passed, and now the building finally looks to be on the road to recovery. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin.
During their own most recent council meeting, the City of Prince Rupert released the draft version of their budget for the upcoming year 2026. One of the proposals for the budget is a 3.7% property tax increase in order to maintain their currently existing services. The draft budget was publicly released with the purpose of getting feedback on it from local residents. Residents can give their thoughts in person at a few different listed times in November or by emailing finance@princerupert.ca. More information about how to give feedback is available on the City of Prince Rupert's website. In the heart of Terrace, members of the Skeena Local Action Network are renewing their call for unity and compassion, standing alongside the Palestinian community here at home. The group is organizing a community dinner and fundraiser on November 8th at 5:30 p.m. at the Kassan Place, aimed at supporting humanitarian efforts and strengthening local ties. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante shares more.
Through the Israel-Palestinian conflict, Skeena Local Action Network has been a voice in the community. And since the ceasefire was announced, their call for solidarity has only grown stronger. Adding the announcement brings a mixed feeling.
Mixed feelings, I think. Like, on the one hand, obviously it's so immensely relieving, just, secondhand even for people in Gaza to know that there's going to be a break from constant bombardment and, indiscriminate killing. And so that was a massive relief. And it was so wonderful to see people just being able to exhale there, just even for a brief moment. A lot of us weren't very optimistic, I guess, about the sustainability of that arrangement. And since then, I think it's been proven that it's very precarious and volatile, and it really remains to be seen where things will go.
Flo shares more highlights on the event.
It's a fundraising, mutual aid, and just solidarity dinner, and education are the main points. So we want to bring people together to educate and learn about the history of the conflict and kind of put a personal spin on it, highlight that. One of our local Palestinian friends in town, Mo Kesba, offered to cook a whole meal, and he said they were up to the task of doing that, so we sort of pivoted to this fundraising dinner.
A member who is of Palestinian himself says he will be sharing the traditional Palestinian dishes which has been passed on from generations of his family.
So a lot of these recipes are passed down from generation to generation. We just want to give a taste of Palestine to the people. About the menu, so we have the tabbouleh salad, and that's parsley with all the vegetables and olive oil, and that's a really healthy salad. Then we have it's called musakhan, it's like chicken with summag and red onions, and that's cooked with a pomegranate, dip on it too.
The event is expected to draw community members from across Terrace and beyond, a reflection of solidarity and the shared hope of lasting peace. CFTK-TV News, Helen Asante.
After the break are some tips on how to stay safe during the winter. Welcome back. The City of Prince Rupert recently put out a notice asking local businesses and organizations to put forth their input in a survey. The city teamed up with Community Futures Pacific Northwest to put together the 2025 Prince Rupert Human Capital Survey. This survey was done with the intention of getting the insights of local employers and giving them a chance to help shape the future of Prince Rupert's workforce. The survey is about 6 minutes long, and it'll be open until November 14th, and it's available on the City of Prince Rupert's website. Back in the later part of September, the Prince Rupert RCMP got word of an assault where an elderly man was found lying on the side of the road with some significant injuries. Despite attempts to save him at the Clem 2 clinic first and then the Bella Bella Hospital, the man ended up passing away due to his injuries. The Prince Rupert police are still investigating this case, although they have said that they don't believe there's a risk to the general public because of it. During a city council meeting from earlier in October, the City of Terrace agreed to fund maintenance on the railway crossing at Kenny Street. Although the city was not eager to give CN Rail an estimated $182,000 needed for the maintenance, the two parties signed an agreement all the way back in 1979 that mandates that Terrace pay for any maintenance that the crossing may need. Terrace Mayor Sean Bouitosh was not pleased with the fact that the city was required to do this, saying that $182,000 is nothing to CN Rail, but to Terrace, it's a lot of money. While the recommendation was still approved, Mayor Bouitosh also said that he'd be discussing this agreement with higher levels of government. As cold weather approaches, here are some tips and reminders to help Terrace residents stay prepared and safe this winter. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante shares more.
If you have scraped frost off your windshield, you are not alone. Terrace is officially sliding into winter mood. With daytime highs hovering around and overnight lows dropping, it is important to take advantage of the clear days to check vehicles, swapping out tires and sealing windows to keep the cold out. Taking simple but important steps, inspecting and insulating exposed pipes, cleaning out clogged gutters, and checking trees around property to prevent damage from heavy snow or wind. And as always, it's good time to pick up salt, snow tires, and shovels before the rush hit local stores. From City Council update on Monday, some listed trails will be closed for public safety due to rainfall events and localized flooding. Urging everyone to follow and observe signage to stay safe in what might be colder than average November. For most in Terrace, early preparation has become an annual ritual, one that helps keep homes warm and roads safe all winter long. CFTK-TV News, Helen Asante.
Statistics Canada figures show drug offenses for possession dropped significantly between 2014 and 2024, largely due to the legalization of cannabis in 2018. A report on trends in police-reported drug crime says there were 70,000 cannabis offenses in 2014, compared with fewer than 9,000 last year. The agency says Canada's drug crime rate has been declining overall for 12 years, though there was a noticeable uptake between 2023 and 2024, with increases in possession and trafficking charges involving cannabis, cocaine, and opioids. BC had the third highest drug crime rate in Canada last year, with 251 incidents per 100,000 residents, while the Northwest Territories had the highest rate with nearly 2,600 incidents per 100,000 residents. Still to come, BC's Premier is threatening to call a snap election. Welcome back. The Prince Rupert Port Authority announced that they are teaming up with the Prince Rupert Gymnastics Association for the fourth time to provide new gymnastics equipment to local athletes of all ages. The money for this new equipment was paid for through the PRPA's Community Investment Fund, meaning that the authority has put forward $225,000 in total to this particular cause. Some of the new equipment includes a springboard, a vaulting table, bars, and a beam, as well as mats. There was recently a dramatic development in Victoria as Premier David Eby threatened to call a snap election, and it all hinges on the passage of a bill to fast-track construction of the North Coast transmission line to power future resource projects. So what's the likelihood of an early election? Here's CTV's Rob Buffum.
We'll have to be ready.
It was a shot across the bow by the Premier, threatening an early election.
This is non-negotiable for us. I would stake our government on it. Those 10,000 jobs, the prosperity for British Columbians. The last thing I want is an election, but we'll be prepared if it's necessary.
Just over a year after securing a razor-thin one-seat majority, Eby was adamant British Columbians will go to the polls if his party's Bill 31, legislation that would fast-track construction of the North Coast transmission line, doesn't pass.
Our government is committed to the 10,000 jobs that this bill represents. We're going to deliver those for British Columbians, and I would stake our government on that.
If the Premier wants to go to this brinkmanship, I can tell you, as the Conservatives, we will be voting against Bill 31. So if he wants to go to the polls, drop the writ, let's go dance.
Eby's NDP have 47 out of 93 seats in the House, a one-seat cushion to pass the bill if they rely on the House Speaker to break a tie.
We have a very narrow margin in the legislature.
Wednesday, the bill passed second reading, but still has committee stage and third reading. And the Greens say they don't know if they'll support it. Opposition MLAs say they think this could be an excuse to call an early election.
Election calls are opportunistic. We believe in a fixed election schedule, so we shouldn't even be talking about this.
Let's dance. I'm more than happy to dance.
It's unlikely, but all of a sudden, British Columbians may be doing the cha-cha to the polls much earlier than expected.
After calling out the BC NDP government for a lack of support, the family of a Kelowna woman allegedly killed by her ex-husband went to Ottawa to renew calls for tougher laws around intimate partner violence. The Liberals say more changes will be announced by the end of the year, but the pressure appears to be mounting to get it done now. CTV's Ben Nesbitt has the story.
Standing alongside Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, Debbie Henderson continues her push, hoping to prevent other families from enduring the same pain hers has.
We are demanding change.
Henderson's niece, Bailey McCourt, was beaten to death with a hammer in Kelowna in July. Her estranged husband has been charged with second-degree murder. Earlier that day, he'd been convicted of uttering threats and assault by choking in a domestic violence case, but wasn't held in custody pending his sentencing. While the federal Liberals have made bail and sentencing law reforms this week, intimate partner violence has not been directly addressed.
We have been counting every day since Bailey was murdered and watching and seeing the number of women murdered.
Conservative MP Frank Caputo recently brought forward Bill C-225, known as Bailey's Law. If passed, it would make all intimate partner homicides an automatic first-degree murder charge.
Many victims of homicide in Canada are actually intimate partners, and it's time that we reflect that in our laws.
We want to work with any party to get this bill passed, protect people. We encourage every party to join with us. It doesn't matter who gets the credit.
One local advocate says she agrees with stricter laws, but says adopting a charge of femicide, which is used in other countries, would be more impactful.
It would be more accurate. It would be more targeted. It would highlight this particular type of violence as unique and aggravated. And ultimately, we would be able to send a stronger message about ending this type of violence.
Federal Justice Minister Sean Fraser said Monday the changes around intimate partner laws would be announced by the end of the year. Henderson said she'll be meeting with him on Wednesday. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
BC's consultant specialists are sounding the alarm about growing patient waitlists and are recommending ways the province can reduce them. CTV's Shannon Patterson now with what they're asking for amid reaction from the health minister.
In 2022, 1 million British Columbians were on wait lists to see a specialist. In 2024, that number jumped to 1.2 million, and preliminary data from a new survey suggests it's still growing.
And so it just speaks to the big backlog that's building, where important stuff is getting pushed out further and further away.
Frustrated with what they see as a lack of action from the province, the consultant specialists of BC have launched a new campaign called Every Number is a Story.
So we put forward some solutions, and one of them includes a database to get a sense of where people are waiting and for what service. And that will help us a great deal with planning how to get us out of this situation. Other parts of the solution include ensuring that specialists have time in their day to make sure that they're staying on top of their wait list.
And we're going to dig into the proposal that the specialists have put before us around wait list management. But again, we understand just how important it is for people to get timely access to the care they need, which is why we're going to continue to work to recruit, train more specialists.
The new campaign from consultant specialists comes on the heels of a letter signed by 130 OBGYNs warning of untenable and unsafe conditions that led to mass resignations at Royal Inland Hospital in Kamloops.
It looks like about 70% of sites will be facing a Kamloops-like situation in the next 5 years. And what that situation is a struggle to continue to provide maternity services from OBGYNs across the province such that women and pregnant people can deliver their babies safely in their home communities.
We're hearing concerns from cardiology, we're hearing concerns from urology, from radiology, and now obviously the OBGYNs. And so the specialists and the wait lists, every time we see these types of removal of these services out of the system, it's just going to put that much more pressure on every other specialty and every other wait list.
Specialists say the longer patients wait for diagnosis and treatment, the more their health can deteriorate.
Inevitably, we'll miss things. We will not be able to intervene in a way to save a person's life.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
The Cowichan Nation slabbed the Premier and the Mayor of Richmond for their comments on a precedent-setting case surrounding a swath of land on the Fraser River. While the nation is adamant that the ruling will not erase public property, others disagree. CTV's Isabella Zavarisi has more.
A landmark legal ruling over this land along the Fraser River in Richmond, where less than 200 years ago, the Cowichan tribes lived seasonally and fished. The court decision has politicians and some homeowners up in arms over private property rights.
That frustrated me because it seemed to be misinformation that could be inflammatory and inappropriate.
After more than 500 days of trial, the BC Supreme Court sided with the Cowichan in a lawsuit against the federal and provincial governments, the city, and 2 other First Nations. It grants the Cowichan fishing rights and title to 7.5 square kilometers of land.
Our lands were taken. Our fishing rights were denied. Our voices were silenced.
The outcry has been anything but silent.
You'd be shocked to know how little the public knew about the Cowichan for land claims.
Especially after the city of Richmond sent letters to more than 150 homeowners that the decision could compromise their ownership.
Oh my gosh, it was complete shock and disbelief.
At the time, Premier David Eby said anxiety among homeowners was reasonable, Eby doubling down Monday.
It has created significant uncertainty. It has direct harms for our provincial economy and for homeowners to even understand what the state of their ownership right is.
The Cowichan Nation says these comments are misleading.
Some landowners are under the mistaken impression that this decision somehow impacts their rights to their property. And once again, it's just not the case.
The Nation says Richmond and BC's negative and erroneous messaging is provoking unnecessary fears. Their approach is inconsistent with the court's decision and is contrary to reconciliation. On Tuesday evening, the city of Richmond is holding an information session, but no one from the Cowichan Nation or their legal team is included. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News.
That wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review. Make sure to tune in to our regular newscast on Monday at 5, 6, 6:30, and 11 o'clock here on CFTK-TV. Thanks for tuning in and have a good weekend.